You really want to have a federal agency run by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance giving a Mark Robinson the authority to monitor your pregnancy? That stuff is so dystopian that Orwell wouldn't even write about it. Trust me. Trust me. But here's the thing. People live their lives differently, and we respect that. You worship the way you want to, love who you want to, take the job you want to. Do that. I might not choose the same thing you do, but the thing we say in Minnesota is, you know what makes things work really well? Mind your own damn business. And this is why I know that's not just Minnesota, that's everywhere. We started the morning with rallies down in Macon, Georgia, where they're fired up and ready to go. We stopped by the famous H&H Cafe down there, and some of you know it. Midnight Rider, that's my go-to for you on that. Buy that one. But on the wall, they had a sign that they had written up there, and it says, mind your own damn biscuits on here. They said that's a nice way of saying what you said, Governor, is what we're going to say. So look, this stuff is personal for all of us. And that's why we can't this is not theoretical. You're not rooting for your team. You're not like, oh, I'm on the Red Hat team, and damn it, I'm going to stick with them no matter how bad they are. Ditch them. Ditch them if they start doing bad. Go on. Because it's personal. And I know none of us want to have to talk about this. There was a story that came out yesterday. Amber Thurman, a woman from Georgia, who had to come up here and try and get reproductive care because her pregnancy was going bad. She ended up, because of that and going back to Georgia, falling into sepsis and dying. A 28-year-old mother, because of Donald Trump's horrific policies. These things are personal. For my family and we weren't able to have children. My wife and I talked about this. And those of you out here have gone through this, or if you know somebody, the hell of infertility. It breaks your soul. You're waiting for the phone calls. They don't come in. It strains your relationship, and all you want is to have that child. These guys talk all the time about families. Today they had a damn vote to protect IVF, and they killed it. They killed it. Because this is the most precious thing to us. So you better bet, when our daughter was finally born, we named her Hope for that reason. And I said this, she and her brother are a whole world to us. That's what this election's about. We don't want to have to go talk about this private stuff. Stay out of our business. But we have to, because what I know is, if these guys win and get their way, they made it clear today, they're not just going after abortion. They're going after fertility treatments. They're going after contraception. They're going to create this federal agency to track you. The idea that some family would go through that horror with not having access to have beautiful children like we have, don't ever come to me and tell me you're pro-family values, because that's a damn lie. That's a lie. Oh, and by the way, you know what we do after our children are born? We care for them. We provide them meals. We provide them health care. So look, when Vice President Harris talks about freedom, we mean people, not politicians, making those health care choices. Be very clear. We mean education as a ticket to the middle class, not crippling student loan debt. And we mean that our seniors should retire with dignity by strengthening Social Security and Medicare. I always say this, these folks who don't want government, who don't want anything or whatever, these are always the people, you know, oh, I don't want my property taxes to go up to pay for the local swimming pool that all of our kids swim in. That's because they got one in their backyard. They don't care. And they don't care if Social Security goes insolvent or they raise the age, because they're not depending on it like my 89-year-old mom to pay the heating bill and buy groceries. So look, this issue of freedom to live the life you want to, freedom to make your own choices, freedom to make sure that government stays the hell out of your bedroom and your choices on that. All of those things from healthcare on down the line, to make those own choices for yourself. That's what this is about. And I will not stand back and watch this. Coming from Georgia, which we saw last week, and we see it every week, hundreds of times in this country. When we talk about freedom, We mean freedom to send our little ones to school without being shot dead in their classroom. I come from that culture. I'm a veteran, I'm a hunter, I'm a gun owner. Oh, by the way, we learned at the debate, so is the vice president, by the way. I say that because we support the Second Amendment. But you don't get to hide behind that when our first responsibility is to the safety of our children. And having been someone who sat in my office with dozens of parents of the Sandy Hook children, as they looked at the picture of my son on my desk and said, our children would have been your son's age. By the way, the Sandy Hook children would have been seniors this year in high school. How morally bankrupt do you have to be when Donald Trump says things that when children die in mass shootings, we just need to get over it? And then, just last week, J.D. Vance told us it was just a fact of life. These are the people who are spending all their time trying to ban books from our schools, but they can't spend a minute banning assault weapons from our schools. And let's be clear, they don't trust the American people. They don't trust you to make your own health care decisions. They certainly don't trust when they want everybody to vote because they want to suppress the vote because they know how you vote. But they don't trust us to solve the toughest problems. Why is it every other nation in the world can figure this out and not get their children shot and we can't? Vice President Harris is right and she'll do something about it. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. You heard it here, and each of you know it. We can't afford 4 more years of this guy. We've seen Project 2025. I'll thank them for this. At least they wrote out what they're going to do this time for us. And they said, oh, we don't know anything about it. Oh, really? JD, you wrote the foreword to the architect of it, you know. Might have done that. But look, I know it's true. If somebody takes the time to create a playbook, the football coach in me knows they're going to run the plays. They're going to run the plays. So they told us what they're going to do. And this is the one that's really something. Mr. Vance also said this, and this is a direct quote. I'll get this right. We need to be really ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. We need to be really ruthless with the exercise of power. Look, there's no excuse for us not to say they didn't tell us. They told us. But Kamala Harris isn't running to be in power. She's running to govern in the name of the American people. So when they're talking about being ruthless, be very clear, and I trust them on this. This is one that I do. I don't trust him on much, but I trust him on this. Donald Trump has proposed cutting taxes for billionaires because he told them, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He will do it, adding $5 trillion more to our debt. At the same time, he's proposing, now get this, he's proposing these massive tariffs that only Donald Trump knows about, apparently. Every economist in the world says that will end up being the equivalent of a national sales tax, costing every single family $4,000 a year. Now, they also badmouth, and for those of you in here, those who are public employees, thank you. Thank you for the work that you do. Those are our police, our firefighters, our teachers, you know the ones. They care for our seniors, they care for our children, they're epidemiologists, they care for our natural resources. Donald Trump's plan is, he doesn't like those folks because they're not political. They're above it. He wants to gut all of those folks and put in only his people. Bad-mouthing the folks, I was out in Nevada last week where Forest Service folks are fighting forest fires. Those are folks that put their lives on the line for us, something bigger than them. And the reason that this is such an alien concept for Donald Trump is he doesn't understand service to anyone but himself. To no one but himself. So throwing the things out there, they will ban abortion across this country. Now, he said, no, I'll do IVF. Oh, I'll make it, I'll make it free. He was like this, baby for you, baby, This guy's going to come to your house pretty soon and promise to give you birthday parties, is when he's in right now. We're in that stage of the campaign because he's sure the hell can't tell you he's going to cut taxes for billionaires. He sure the hell can't tell you that he's going to prevent IVF treatments. He can't do any of that. But he is so enamored. He had an opportunity on that debate stage when they asked him to someone he admired, someone globally. Who do you admire that's out there, whatever? There's a lot of people he could have chosen. I think a group he could have chosen were brave young Ukrainians who are on the front lines resisting. But everyone here knows why he wasn't going to do that. Because he couldn't answer the question if he wanted Ukraine to win that war. You got your answer when he couldn't say that. Because this guy admires Putin. He admires Kim Jong-un. He admires Xi Jinping. And you know when he was asked who he could pick out? Viktor damn Orban. Viktor Orban. That's the guy you get. And look, here's the thing. He thinks those guys like him. Can you imagine if those four get together when they talk about what a weak and what a sucker Trump is to be played? You know they do it. Oh my God, he's so easy. Just tell him his hair looks nice and he'll give you whatever you want. Just tell him he's handsome and he'll pull out of NATO. That's how it works. What was really great, though, is you saw how quickly Kamala Harris baited him. Because he would be furious to know this crowd in Asheville is far bigger than he ever got. So look, we know what's at stake. They outsmart him. We know what we get. But bringing it back to the focus of who we are and what Kamala Harris talks about being a president for all Americans, I talk about this often. Two things she says that I just love to hear her say it. It's so simple, but it's beautiful. She says the mark of leadership isn't who you can tear down, it's who you can lift up. Simple. Simple. And then we were getting off a bus at a rally, and it was just her and her husband, Doug, and my wife, Gwen, and I. And this was a few weeks ago, and I'm on the bus, and I'm still like, oh, man, this is so cool to be on the bus with the vice president. And we're going to get out at a rally, and there's a whole bunch of our supporters, and there's folks that aren't our supporters. And I said, it's always nice because you can tell them because they have the same hat on. And you just see them, and they're there. But she turned around and looked at me, and she said, Tim, we work just as hard for the people and their families on this side of the street as we do on this side of the street. And that's what all of us believe. Because that's who America is. And I saw it this summer. I had the privilege of a lifetime to be in France on the 80th commemoration of the D-Day landing. And I was riding on a bus with several of our Medal of Honor awardees who had earned the Medal of Honor for bravery. And we were going down these dusty little trails to get to the beaches of Normandy, and the houses were decorated with little French flags, with little British flags, with little Canadian flags, with little American flags. To the cemeteries where the sons and daughters of the free nations of the world came together on those beaches to protect democracy against the spread of Nazism and totalitarianism. And while our young warriors died on that foreign beach, they died for the common humanity, the common decency, the common human rights that we all aspire to. Donald Trump, when Vladimir Putin invades a democratic country, he says, I don't care, do whatever the hell you want. Donald Trump tells Putin that. So when you hear Vice President Harris say, our allies are terrified of him coming back into power again. But the good news is, that's not going to happen. So we are not going back. I said, I love all the things. My wife talks about turning a page. She's an English teacher and all of that. I just like this one. This damn TV show of his has been on too long. Let's just cancel it in November. Let's just cancel it. So, but here's what we get with Kamala Harris. And here's what we get with all of you out here. and people like Stephen and others who are inspired, we've got a new generation of American leadership that's inspiring the rest of the world. So you saw it. Kamala Harris can take care of herself. Our job is to do the blocking and tackling and cover her back. That's what our job is. So this is where I never get too far from being Coach Walz on these things. This is where I'm going to be. Think about it. If everybody here tonight gets just one more person to do a phone bank or a door knock, just one, talk to somebody, one more conversation, have that conversation. I'm trying with all of my relatives, I'm trying with everybody else to make the case that we're in this together. We can chart a new way forward. Hell, I get it. You're out here, you're standing in the rain, you're giving your money, you're knocking on doors, you're doing all that. But my God, what a privilege to fight for the democracy. What a privilege. "49 days to go. We're finally going to have early voting starting here in North Carolina on the 17th. And we get the opportunity to make a difference, not just for 4 years, but for 40 years. Not just here, but across the world. That's what we get to do. So we're in the fight. All gas, no brakes. Sleep when you're dead. And as the next president of the United States says, when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you.